In this video, I'm going to show you how to install Mosaic tile and Bullnose trim on this tiled shower. And this is part 4 of a 5-part series, and in the previous videos I showed you how to install the wall tile, the shelving, and lay out the shower. So in this video we're going to address the trims. And if you're new to this channel, my name is Josh. This channel is all about building your own house, saving a ton of money. So be sure to subscribe, ring that bell so you get notification every time I release a new video, and hammer that like button for me. That's all I ask in return for making this video. So we got a lot to do today, so let's get started. Real quickly before I start this trim, I'm going to remove all of these spacers and the leveling system, and in order to do that we're just going to take this rubber mallet and you just smack them out, and then we reuse the wedges for later. But I want to tell you, I want to do that first. The first step to installing this Mosaic tile is I'm going to go ahead and set it up to where it's going to be installed, and I'm going to mark the top of it because I don't want to run my thin set up higher than where the top of this Mosaic tile is going to be. I'm now going to take my putty knife and apply a layer of thin set to that area where the Mosaic's going to be installed. I'm using a 6-inch putty knife here, but it would have been better if I had a 4-inch putty knife and spread the thin set on horizontally instead of the vertical short strokes. After that layer is applied, I'm just going to take my 1/4-inch notch trowel and just scrape it clean, and it will put these 1/4-inch trowel marks going up the wall. Next, I need to find the center of this tile because I want to put it center of this grout joint. So I'm going to measure over. It's 17 3/8. So half of 17 3/8 is 8 11/16. So I'm going to come over here and mark the center of this tile. And I'm going to double check from the other way just to make sure we're center. And that looks good. And now what I need to do is back butter this tile before I install it on the wall. And just like the wall, after you back butter it, we're going to go ahead and run our notch trowel through it. And I just clean the edges here with my finger just to make sure we don't have too much over thin set. And now that center mark is going to line up with my center layout. And after you place it where it goes, just shift it into place like so. And what I'm going to do is go ahead and wipe this thin set off this tile because this tile is a little more textured than these tiles, so it's critical for me to get that off as soon as possible. I'm now going to take the spacers that I knocked out of these grout joints and use them because it's going to be the same width just like the other grout joints. So I'm just going to slide them right into place like so. And as you can see, it has the same grout joint as the other tiles. To continue the run, I'm just going to go ahead and place this right beside that tile and just wiggle it into place. I'm not using a leveling system on these Mosaic tiles because you can't. What I got to do is eyeball to make sure it's flush with these other tiles and the previous tile we just installed. I'm now going to take spacers and space them just like we did on the previous Mosaic. Now I'm going to take one of the spacers and place right between those two tiles. So that looks really good. And now I'm just going to continue that on the other side. This Mosaic tile is the same thickness as the tile that's on the wall already, so I did not have to pad out the area where the Mosaic is sitting. Now if it is not thick enough, you're going to have to pad that out first before you apply your Mosaic tile. When we get to the end, like you see here, all we got to do is measure the distance from the wall to that tile. And we got about 3 1/4. So you'll want to subtract a 1/4 inch from that measurement because you need an 1/8 inch expansion gap in the back and you need an 1/8 inch grout joint. So I'm going to cut this piece 3 inches, and the other side is the same measurement as well. This is the piece I just cut, and as you can see, this is the cut edge and this is the factory edge. You always butt factory edge to factory edge to have the same look, and always dry fit it to make sure it's cut right. That looks good. So now I'm just going to back butter it and install it just like the rest of the tile. I'd like for you to leave a comment below if you think the color scheme of this Mosaic tile is enough to accent the wall tile. I'm now going to clean up the top of these tiles with my putty knife. Because the edge of this Mosaic tile is irregular, unlike the tile down here, as you can see, a straight cut does the corners very nicely, but I'm going to have to scribe the cut to cut into this Mosaic tile if you want a nice looking joint. So that's what I'm going to do. So the first thing I got to do is go ahead and pre-lay this out before I put thin set on the wall, because it's going to be hard to cut that correctly when you have thin set on the wall without making a mess. So first I'm going to go ahead and lay it out on the wall. So now I know that's the edge of my center tile, so now I can get a measurement to cut this tile that's going to butt into this corner. I'm going to measure this tight to that tile that's in the center, and that gives me 9 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this straight for now, then butt it up and then scribe my cut. I just cut a piece 9 inches, so now I'm going to go ahead and slide that right up to where I got to cut it. And I'm going to position this with the correct grout joint below, so it's sitting where it's going to need to be sitting when I install it. Now I'm just going to take my pencil and hold it back in this corner and scribe this line going across to where I got to cut to make the cut fit into place here. As you can see, I cut the scribed line along the piece of tile. So now I'm just going to go ahead and dry fit up into place to see if it looks right. And that looks good enough for me. Nothing wrong with that. So now I'm going to go ahead and install the rest of this row just like we did the other row. Here's the Mosaic installed clear around the shower. Now I wanted to point out the corner here. So as you can see, it was cut and it fits in real nice. And now on these edges, you also want to make sure you take a diamond sponge to them and rasp the edges, so that way it gives it a nice finished look. So now I got to run the tile clear up to the ceiling, and then I'm going to show you how to install the Bullnose down along the sides. I want to let you know, if you need to install this type of Mosaic tile that comes in these little squares and come in sheets like this, check out the video in the top right hand corner of the screen. That's going to instruct you on how to build this whole tiled shower actually, but that is one part to that video. So this is a more common type of Mosaic tile other than what I just showed you how to install. But let's get to that Bullnose trim. I'm now going to show you how to cut out for this shower head. So as you can see, the drop ear is right there behind the cement board. And now I'm going to line up my tile to where it's going to be installed. And I'm going to hold it tight on the wall and mark the center of where the shower head's going to be. And now after I do that, I'm going to take it, flip it around this way, and then mark it right up to the edge of that shower head as well. The reason why I had to put it like this because it's too long to place back here and mark it. So I'm just going to mark the edge of the towel right where the center of where the shower head's going to be. So right there. And now we're just going to flip it around like so. And now I just got to take my speed square and transcribe it, and it's going to be the center of the shower head. I'm now just going to use a speed square and just make square lines right off each one of those marks, right like so. The product that I'm going to be using to cut out this hole is made by Quep, and it has a guide with it and the stickers that you're going to need to make the seal around the guide, and then it has the diamond hole saw. And you can find this in my Amazon store. I'll put a link in the description below if you'd like to purchase this. So as you can see, I already used this before, so I got to remove the old sticker first before I use it on this new hole, because you got to replace these with each cutout. And all you got to do is peel off the double-sided tape here, and we got to line it right up with the existing cutout. Make sure we get a good seal around that. And now we're going to remove this side of it. And all you got to do, there's little lines in here, and line up each line inside of the hole saw with the lines we just made. All right, now after you got it lined up, go ahead and press it down and get a good seal. Put water inside of this, and it's just going to hold the water and fill this up about halfway. Now we're just going to drill out this hole and go from there. When using this diamond hole saw, you do not want to apply too much pressure because you will risk cracking the tile. Okay, now as you can see, it drilled through there real nicely. Now we just peel this off, and we got a nice clean cut hole for the shower head. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and dry fit this just to make sure everything's cut out properly. And if we take a look here, our hole is perfectly center of where we wanted it, so that worked out really well. So now we're going to go ahead and install this one thin set and keep running up to the ceiling. I'm now going to begin the installation of the Bullnose trim to finish off this shower. Now, if you're not familiar with Bullnose trim, what it does, it just gives you a nice finish on the edges of your tile. So what I did first is I marked the center of this Bullnose, and I wanted to break right here where the Mosaic tile is. So in order to break right here, I'm going to have to start off the floor at a different height than a full piece of Bullnose, because you always start off the floor and work up. So what I'm going to have to do is stick this right here and then take my pencil and mark it right there on the tile because I know that's where I want it to break. Measure down to that mark and it gives me 4 inches and a quarter. So I got to come down 4 1/4 off the bottom row of tile and make a mark. I'm now going to measure down 4 1/4 to replicate above that was below that mosaic tile. So about 4 1/4 is right here. I now know that's going to have to be the starting point of my first tile. So this is going to have to be cut down. And in order to cut this down properly, I'm going to put the finished edge upright because this is the side I'll have to be cutting off. So we're going to set it right there. And now we got to allow about an 1/8 inch down for a grout joint. So we're going to go ahead and mark it right here. And we got to cut this bottom off in order to start the row. I just got back from cutting the bottom off this piece of bullnose. So now what we're going to do, we're just going to set it right here on the floor like so. And what I'm not going to do is glue this to the wall yet because the tile floor needs to go on first and that's going to have to be cut later. So this is just going to be used to support the row of bullnose. So I'm just going to tape this into place. I now have a piece of bullnose back buttered and ready to go. Now I want you to note that this is on twice as thick as I would have if I was installing this wall tile, and that's because when I installed the wall tile, I put thinset on the wall and then on the tile. And now this, there is none on the wall because it's hard to get this on here without going too far past where the bullnose is going to be. So what I do is just put it on twice as thick on the bullnose. And now I'm just going to go ahead and stack this on top of that piece of bullnose that we just put on the floor. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to flush this up with this wall tile. And I'm going to go ahead and remove the excess thinset as I go, because we don't want that staying on the wall because that's going to be our finished wall. I'm now going to take the 1/8 inch spacers that we used on the regular tile. We're going to go ahead and space all this appropriately. So we're going to go ahead and do one off the bottom, and then we know we want an 1/8 inch gap here and an 1/8 inch gap here. So that is going to be where it's going to sit permanently. So what I'm going to do to secure the bullnose is I'll go ahead and take blue painter's tape and go ahead and pull pressure over to the tile here. So just like this. So that way it stays in place and it doesn't shift off the support. And be sure to clean all that thinset off the wall before it sets up, because this sets up just like liquid nails or anything else. So you want to make sure you get it off now. So we're going to go ahead and clean that really good. And now all we got to do is get another full piece of bullnose and keep that same process going right up the wall. Now I ran this side all the way up to the ceiling and everything turned out really nice. And also on this side, I did the same exact thing. And just so you know, you clearly have to cut that last piece to finish off the run. Now, if you want to see me grout this shower and install the shower head and the shower handle, check out this video. It'll help you out.